And we're live here. And today we're going to continue on page, I believe it's page 24. Yes, it is page 24. We're talking about the Mitochondriac Manifesto, and we're going to be talking about modern living steals electrons. And what does that have to do with you? Well, Carol, you and I know that it has everything to do with us, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
All 56 trillion cells in our body
Yeah.
have electrons, and the blood and the liquids inside of our bodies, our cerebral spinal fluid, have electrolytes. And as you guys know from watching my YouTube channel, if this is your first time, you're going to learn real quickly that electrons and electrolytes are packets of electricity because we are infrared light beings. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. Modern living steals electrons. And it says here, and the guy who wrote this is called R.D. Lee, Randy the Mito Man. You want to make sure you pick up this book on Amazon. I don't make a dime off of this. This is not a sponsored. This is great content. So we're all about teaching, training, educating you so that you're empowered, so you can do what's best for your body, right? So you can improve and turn things to get infinitely better. So living in the world of today steals electrons from us, putting us in a state of electron deficiency that decreases our health and healing capacity. Not only are we getting fewer electrons coming in from traditional sources, but our lifestyles and technologies use up our supply of electrons faster than ever before. Instead, every facet of our lives in which we replace nature with technology, we dig our powers of renewal a deeper hole to climb out of, challenging our ability to recover even more. So let's take a little pause button and see here. We're going to recap what he just says here. He says here, indeed, every facet of our lives in which we replace nature with technology. So what are some of the ways that we do this? Well, you don't have to look too far. You can see here, I've got these light bulbs that are up here. That replaces the sun, right? Because as you can see, it's close to sunset. It's not quite sunset yet, but the sun provides us sunlight during the daylight hours. And then at nighttime, we turn on light bulbs. We have floor lamps, light bulbs that provide light for us. And so that's replacing something that's natural with something that's man-made. The problem is that we went from the sunlight to fire, from fire to incandescent bulbs. I think it was like in 1886, I think it was, when at the World's Fair they introduced the first incandescent light bulb. And then not too many years ago here in the States, they changed the rules and the laws here saying that you can't use incandescent bulbs to light your home anymore. You can only use LED lights. And you're probably thinking, well, what's the big deal about LED lights? Oh, let me tell you, there's a lot of problems with LED lights. First one being that they're blue light toxic, because instead of them being infrared light, like the sun, which is 42 to 43% infrared light, because human beings and mammals, we are infrared light beings. If you measure the light spectrum of the electrons and electrolytes inside our body, you'll see that we're infrared light. And so by having LED lights, which is blue lights, much like the blue lights that ironically you're watching this broadcast, whether it's YouTube on your desktop, laptop, iPad, notepad, or your cell phone, your trusty dusty cell phone, this emits blue light. And those LED lights do three things. We know because scientific research shows us that blue light toxicity that come from not only blue screens, but also from LED lights. I don't have LED lights. You actually see a little bit of a red hue on me because my light bulbs that are above me have 4 infrared red light bulbs and 2 of them that are clear. They're all incandescent bulbs. None of them are LED lights. And this one isn't an LED either. It's a warm incandescent bulb. But our kitchens, just look at your kitchen and you'll see that your kitchen is filled with LED lights, from your refrigerator to your cappuccino maker to your Ninja, your food processor, your microwave, your stove, your bread maker. All of those gizmos and gadgets, and I have them too, they all have LED lights. You go to your place of work, your place of business, you go to the supermarket, you go to a warehouse, doesn't matter, any place you go out in public, they all have three types of light: LED lights, halogen lights, and fluorescent lights, all of which emit blue light. And so you have DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, that is broken anytime your eyes and your skin is exposed to that blue light toxicity. It causes blue light toxicity. You break your DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, is what science and research studies show. Number two, it dysregulates your insulin. So you get insulin resistance. That means that you have the inappropriate digestion and methylation and processing of glucose in your body, which obviously is going to affect your liver. It's going to affect your kidneys. It's going to affect, obviously, your pancreas, right? Because insulin comes from your pancreas. So far, those two things. And the third thing is that it causes inflammation in the body. So no one is so special that you are not affected by LED lights, because we're all infrared light beings. We're all made from DNA and stem cells, and we all have, flesh and bone and tendons and ligaments and so forth. And there's certain things that are universal with all mammals, not just humans. So let's see what else it says here about this. So as we move on, it says, we dig our powers of renewal a deeper hole to climb out of, challenging our ability to recover even more. It's so true. So just as bad, most people don't even realize the stress that electron deprivation subjects their bodies to. Most people are completely unaware. They're more interested in their environment in terms of nourishment, but they don't think about their light environment. And it's something that 99.9% of people ignore until you become aware, because of this broadcast and the teachings of not only R.D. Lee, but he is also a student of Dr. Jack Kruse, who is a photobiomodulation expert, and he does brain surgery, neck surgery, and spine surgery. And he's known for the last 20 years as being a photobiomodulation expert. So he talks about how, just as bad, most people don't even realize the stress that electron deprivation subjects their body to. So while the entire wellness industry talks about diets, supplements, and fitness regimens, the most fundamental building block of optimal health, electrons and voltage, seldom receive any attention. And here's a quick overview of how electron deficiency drains the health out of you and out of me. So it talks here about the disconnection from nature. So I want you to think about the majority of people, and I will tell you for myself, for many years, the primary place where I worked out of was a gym. In fact, when I was a junior in high school, I got a lifetime membership to a gym. And for years, I worked in a gym. I also took ballet. And guess what? That gym had fluorescent lights. The ballet studio actually had incandescent light bulbs. It didn't have fluorescent lights. So it had very warm incandescent bulbs. But the gym had fluorescent lights. It was all the rage because it was about the time when gyms were starting to become vogue. Yeah. And most people to this very day, they work out in a gym. And some people wonder, why is it that they work out at a gym doing cardio, doing all sorts of weight training and so forth, and either they don't lose weight or they still suffer from different type of chronic inflammatory conditions or develop them over time, even though they're supplementing, even though they're eating a organic, healthy diet. And that's because one of the biggest components of your existence, I don't want to say your day because that implies only daytime, but in a 24-hour cycle, you have daytime lighting and you have nighttime lighting, and they are completely unaware. They're ignorant because they don't know how critically important it is to pay attention to your light environment, how important it is to get out first thing in the morning and have your eyes and skin, because your skin has photoreceptors, for it to be receiving sunlight that not only sets the circadian rhythms through your eyes and your pineal gland for your wake up and sleep cycle, but it also sets the clock, the circadian rhythm for your respiratory system. your central nervous system, your peripheral nervous system, your digestive system, your endocrine system, your proprioceptive system, your interoceptive system, your nociceptive system. All the systems of the body are set when your eyes see the sunrise in the morning before 10 a.m. You get morning sunlight, and at the end of the day, that golden hour, the hour before sunset, you get out there and you get exposure, not only the eyes, without sunglasses, without contacts, if you wear contacts, just out there in nature, receiving that signaling through the eye. You don't have to look at the sun, but just being outside, receiving that benefit of light, so that the light is actually touching your face, your arms, your legs, your torso, as much of your skin as possible. Dr. Jack is the first to tell you, if you have breast cancer, if you have testicular cancer, if you have any kind of reproductive organ type of cancer, it's even more important for those organs to be exposed to the natural sunlight. Yes. And so, of course, you're not going to go out in public and do that, right? But if you have, some people have a backyard where you can go into your backyard, and in the privacy of your backyard, you can get out there and get that natural sunlight first thing in the morning, especially if your backyard faces east. If your backyard faces west, then of course you're going to catch the sunset, and your front yard is then going to be, depends, always on the positioning of the house. In my case, I'm on the second floor for my townhome, so I don't have a backyard per se, but I do have a grassy area out front and out back. And my balcony does face the east, but I have buildings in my way that keep me from seeing the sunrise. So what do? I get out and run across the street to the beach, and then I run southeast towards where I can see the sunrise. I don't always catch the sunrise because, to be honest with you, when I first wake up, I wake up at sunrise, but I don't run out the door at sunrise. It'll be an hour later. So the sun's, already up when I get out, but I get out early in the morning, and I would love to tell you that I'm out there, I'm a workout queen, running and flying my kite and jumping in the water at, the early hours of the morning. I don't, but I do spend at least 15 minutes. Sometimes it's 30 minutes. My goal is to do at least 15 minutes. So I walk at least 7 to 10 minutes towards the sun in the morning and then back. Sometimes I tell people it's like I fly my kite if there's enough wind, because sometimes there's not enough wind at the beach.
Yeah.
So sometimes I walk, literally, it's like my kite. I'm like walking a dog. I'll be walking, and I just love to let the leash out as high as I can. Makes me look up at the sky, which is towards the sun. The sun's coming up on the horizon. And then I'll walk it back so both sides of my body are getting sun. And then I head back, and then I sprint. I don't walk back, I sprint back. And I tell people I do conscientiously make it a point to sprint 3 times a day, just 30 seconds to a minute. That little 30-second jog.
Yep.
You sprint as fast as you can.
Yep.
You don't have to sprint for 15 minutes or 30 seconds to a minute. I can't tell you the number of people I have who have started to do that, and they're like, oh, my glucose levels have normalized.
Yeah.
And of course, they get on the patches, and I go, yeah, your calf muscles are tied to your glucose regulation. Most people don't know that. Walking up the stairs is going to help a little bit, but it's the sprinting action of you're running as fast as you can for just 30 seconds. Your heart rate jumps because it has to respond to, the need for more oxygen. Just 30 seconds to a minute. If after a while you feel like, hey, instead of just running down part of the way, down half the block, 30 seconds this way, you want to run a little farther, that's fine. But the minimum that I run is 30 seconds. Everybody has time for a 30-second sprint. Okay. And so you do that 3 times a day. And then that is enough to make actually a significant difference in your well-being. And that's a good starting place. Look at how pretty the sunset. You see the pinks in the background there.
Yes. Yeah, it is. You got it.
So these things are simple and they're free. They don't cost you anything. You don't have to pay any money to jog, to do a 30-second sprint. You don't have to pay anybody to go outside and look at the sunrise, or to look at this, be out in the sunlight without sunscreen, with as little clothing as possible, preferably unrobed. Again, if you're going out in public, probably don't want to do that. In California, you get a ticket for streaking, or who knows, public indecency or something like that. So that would be no bueno. If you live in certain beaches in Europe, you can get away with it because they got nude beaches, but we ain't got that here. We had nude beaches, I would not go naked.
No,
Just
no.
FYI. I would still wear a bikini, which I tend to do. But the thing is, as little clothing as possible, because the whole idea is for your skin. All those receptors, they're called photoreceptors. They're all over your skin. Your skin is the largest organ in the body. Super, super important. Okay, we're going to wrap up with this last paragraph, and then we'll let you guys go. So we're talking about here about, awareness is the first step to improvement. Okay, he doesn't say that. That's my comment. Awareness is the first step in improvement. Now that you're aware of your light environment, you can start to effectuate a change. And he says here, disconnection from nature. We're doing pretty much everything possible to divorce ourselves from nature, not getting direct sun exposure, not directly touching earth. So see, you can tickle 2 or 3 feet with one feather. As you run out the door to get your 30-second sprint in, you can get grounded. What I do is I run out with usually tennis shoes, because I can't really run very well in flip-flops. So I run out with my tennis shoes in hand. I run down the stairs. I run to the grass. My hands touch the grass. I get on all fours like the Sphinx for just a little bit. And then I touch a tree with my hands and my feet. And then I put my tennis shoes on after I've walked. There's a whole grassy area here before I have to cross the street to get to the beach or to get to the parking lot. And so I walk on the grass, and then I sit at a bench, put my tennis shoes on, and then I sprint 30 seconds, come back, or I sprint across the street to the beach, and then get my 15 minutes of sun, walking 7 to 10 minutes in either direction, and then come back and start my day. That didn't cost me anything other than the time that it took me to get out there.
Yeah.
And you feel great.
Oh, I feel wonderful. I do that. Yeah.
And you can get out
Love
just the same, getting out, tending to your flowers, your garden, your trees. I have a little olive tree that I'm like, it's starting to finally like really flourish. And it's been a couple of years, and I'm like, the leaves are starting to get bigger. You get out there, you're watering those plants and so forth and tending to them. You're getting sun as you're out there in the earth, as you're touching, the plants and stuff. That's all a good exchange between you and the plants, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a great connection with nature, as opposed to the disconnection that many people inadvertently, we don't realize. We start working, and you get up before it's sunrise, you get out the door, you get to work, all this light is changing throughout the day, and you're in a building. There's people who work in buildings that have no windows.
I know, it's terrible.
Which is crazy. And, when I first graduated from high school, I also graduated right prior to that. I graduated from being a paramedic because I was eager to get my hands on patients. And so my first job was with an emergency room and a private ambulance company. And then when I got to USC, because school started in August after I graduated from high school, the job that I was assigned to, because I was part of the work study program, was with NASA.
Oh, right.
And so I worked for a physicist at NASA through USC, and that building had 0 windows. It was a giant block cement thing, no windows. There was just like a steel door at the entrance. You had to have a special pass to access it because it's NASA, so everything is like top secret, right? And so you would go in there, and you could not tell what time of day it was. Once you got in there, it was all fluorescent light bulbs. You could not tell whether it was morning, midday, afternoon, didn't matter what time of day you were there. You can't tell what time it was because no windows.
Wow.
And being an 18-year-old didn't really bother me because I wasn't working 8 to 10, 12 hours a day there because I was a student.
Yeah.
So I go in for my allocated 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours at the most. And then I would leave. And it wasn't every single day. It was just certain days of the week that I would work there. And then I would leave. But plenty of people there were working 10, 12-hour days, and
Oh, yeah. Horrible.
that's terrible for your health. And since then I remember not thinking much of it at the time, because again, I was only working between 2 and 4 hours at any one shot. But later on, once I was in my 20s and so forth, I remember hearing people say, oh yeah, I went for this job interview and this building, it had no windows. And there's no way I'd ever work at a building with no windows. And I was thinking at the time, it's like, well, I don't know that that's that big a deal, but you think about it and it's like, yeah, that actually is kind of a big deal because it kind of disconnects you from the outside world, right?
Exactly.
And it is a bigger deal. And I'm glad that over time, I began to learn how important your light environment is. And especially in the last 10 years, because it wasn't as prevalent for me in the first 10, 20 years of my education, because I've never stopped studying. I've never stopped learning. I still get certifications, probably get a certificate to something right before I pass away, because I'm one of these people where I love to learn. I don't so much care about the certificate. I just want to learn the knowledge and then apply it so I can help someone, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of that. But let me see the last part here. So disconnection from nature. So the whole divorcing ourselves from nature, not getting direct sun exposure, not directly touching the earth, not drinking pure water. We don't want to be drinking distilled, purified water with no minerals in it. You want mineral spring water, mountain spring water especially. And it says, and not eating seasonal whole food.
Oh.
Seasonal whole food. So we're not supposed to have strawberries 12 months out of the year.
No.
We're not supposed to have pumpkin year round. We're supposed to have pumpkin during pumpkin season, which is, around in the States, it's around Thanksgiving in November, right? Cranberries, November and December. There's certain foods that we have seasonally because it has to do with the circadian rhythms of the light environment and whether it's spring, summer, winter, or fall.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That when you're eating food is a light barcode where you're eating your light environment in food form. Your body breaks it down back into light, nutrient, and oxygen. Goes into your bloodstream, goes to your brain, to your heart, and to wherever that information and nutrients need to go.
Yeah.
Do you know, I mean, I have an idea, because I'm not a farmer, but I have an idea of some fruits and vegetables that are seasonal here to California. But I know most of us are spoiled from like the big chain supermarkets, not just like Whole Foods and Sprouts, but I'm talking about like, we have like Ralph's and there's other, supermarkets that are like Gelson's and whatnot.
Yeah.
There are, like lemons. Lemons are, it's something that, well, in Orange County, California, we have oranges a great majority, like 6-7 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Orange trees and lemon trees. Lemon trees sometimes can give us lemons probably 9 to 10 months out of the year because it's a warmer climate here.
Yeah.
But how about for you guys in Washington? What tend to be more?
We have an apple season and we have a peaches season, and we're getting peaches now. It's about finished, and tomatoes and things like that. But no, we don't have fruit year round growing on the trees at all. So we take advantage of having a few trees in our own backyard so we can box them up for the winter.
Yeah. And so like you're talking about peaches and nectarines and apples. So we have like for us, like for a while, one of the houses that I owned, we had apricots, and usually like in April, May, and June, just for those 2-3 months, we'd have apricots.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And they were the most juicy, sweetest, delicious apricots. I never bought apricots, even though that apricot tree didn't give us that many apricots, and birds got to the apricots because there's, you can't pick them when they're green. You want to wait till they're ripe. And then of course the birds come around and they start picking at the apricots. We're like competing with the birds to get the apricots.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're scrumptious. And if you buy apricots at the store, you can tell the difference. The taste, the texture, the sweetness, just like tomatoes. People who grow tomatoes, whether they're beef tomatoes, plum tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. I've had friends who grow their own tomatoes in their homes as opposed to the tomatoes that we buy from the store. And it's a significant difference in the flavor and the taste and the nutrients that you're going to get, because
Yeah.
that fruit was picked ripe, not green.
Absolutely. I've grown a lot of tomatoes, various kinds, and they're wonderful. It's fun to grow them and it's fun to pick them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then your own basil and
Oh,
thyme and like
yeah.
I've grown what is it? I think it's like there's like a variety. There's regular like Italian basil and there's like a Filipino basil that grows here in California pretty well. And they're different. They're similar, but they're different. They're great. You know, you fennel, you throw that
Yeah.
in a salad and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's really awesome. So we're going to wrap up with this. Let me see, make sure I finish this last paragraph that we were reading about disconnection from nature and how we can connect to nature. These are the traditional sources of electrons that use to fill our tanks with energy to support our cells, brain function, and resistance to disease. Because of course, as you take in those appropriate nutrients, then you have more antioxidants and you have better cellular activation. So when we return next time, we're going to go to page 25. We just read these two paragraphs today, and we're going to go to inflammation and oxidation.
Very
Carol,
good.
do you have any questions or comments about any of this stuff?
No, I find it very enjoyable, and I like how you fill in with your experiences and how it bringing it around to being simple for us, how it relates to our world. And so I like it, and I like that he's presenting us some good information here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was going to mention, like, I just got back from Italy and Greece, and I was there with a big group of friends and a lot of doctors and holistic care practitioners. And one of the things that they commented as we went out into, to kind of peruse around Venice and Bologna and, the different places there in Santorini and Mykonos is, the price of food is so much less compared to what the price per person is here. And I told them, I lived in Italy in 2019 for 6 months. And one of the things that, in the States, we go to the supermarket once a week, once every other week. We go to Costco, buy certain things in bulk. And over there, they don't do that.
No.
And then we get kiwis from New Zealand, strawberries, depending on where they're available in the world, they'll fly them in from all the different parts of the world. So you can pretty much get anything that you ever wanted year round. And even though like California, our strawberries, our season is March, April, May. They're usually gone by May. And you see the strawberry farmers, there's all sorts of different vendors that you can get them outside of supermarkets.
Yeah.
But when you're living in Italy, people go to the market daily. So whatever you're going to cook for dinner, you literally walk downtown, you go to the market. There's like a farmer's market. There's like a regular market, but there's also a farmer's market. There's the butcher. There's like the bakery that you go to. There's also like the confectionery, which is, we don't have confectionaries here, but that's basically all your sweet type of bakery, right?
Yeah.
Separate from the bakery that just does like Italian bread and stuff. And everything like fish, you don't have fish imported from Norway or from Chile or from Venezuela. No, it's the local caught fish, whatever that might be. You eat that fish, and it's like whatever beef or goat or whatever, the produce is, or game that you have that's locally grown. So nothing is imported. They're not transporting things for hours or let alone for days by plane. Everything is locally harvested. And so that's how they keep not only the food costs down, but that's also why they're so much healthier.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they're eating their environment. That's where you were born, you were raised. And so you're in congruence with that harmony of the light environment in which you were conceived and you were raised.
Yeah,
absolutely. So it does make a difference.
Does make a difference, a big difference.
So, all right, my friends and gems, this is a wrap. Make sure you comment below. Tell me what you liked. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, we're here to answer your questions. If you want to join us tomorrow at 2 p.m., Monday through Friday, I always do a Zoom, 2 p.m. It's an info Q&A. It'll run as short as 30 minutes. It can go as long as an hour, depending on the questions that you guys might have. I'm here to help, teach, train, support, and answer any questions that you might have. I'm going to catch the last little bit of this sunset here. And Carol, my co-host, and I say now, ciao for now, my friends and gems.
Bye for now. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.